Hello? Can you hear me? Does this work? Oh, damn it! Blast, that's loud. I'm just securing my ongoing experiments. And securing myself. Mind the mess. I haven't had a visitor since... in fact, I've never had a visitor.
Reviving you from hibernation was my greatest accomplishment. Your odds of survival were a mere 28%. Your old hibernation mask. Had to remove it, you know, in case you were prone to vomiting. make excellent test subjects. Also surprisingly nutritious. Aha! I see you found my portable molecular compression device, better known as a shrink ray. Find a target, point, shoot. Your target will shrink down into a manageable size, whereupon you may commence beating them to a pulp. Feel free to try it on a marauder sometime. Careful, that's my communications terminal. Oh, thank the law. Your skin hasn't spontaneously changed color. Potential side effect of the revival process. Very rare, but you never know. Right. Welcome to my little habitation, such as it is. I've got caffeinoids, cysty bits, if you're into that sort of thing. So, welcome. Make yourself at home. My secret hideout is your secret hideout. The one I gave you before your pod landed? Ruined, beyond repair. Impossible to find replacement parts. That's Halcyon Manufacturing for you. Don't worry about it. I'm reasonably certain you're not going to spontaneously expire. No need to monitor your recovery. Not at all, my intrepid accomplice. I should thank you for tolerating my somewhat brusque manner. I only regret that I couldn't save more of your fellow settlers, what with being hunted by the board, and emptying my supply of necessary chemicals. Of course. What's on your mind? Never know what being frozen did to your brain. There's always a chance you might turn violent. I've no desire to end up like Thompson. Regardless, it's quite comfortable in here, you know. I have my beans, have my caffeinoids, plenty of toilet paper. Absolutely. Let's talk. Oh, goodness, no. I wouldn't survive 10 seconds in the blackness of the aether. Well, no, I imagine I'd last at least 12 seconds before I'd lose consciousness and die of hypoxia. Life outside work? No, of course not. My life is my work. For that matter, everyone else's lives are also my work. An entire colony's worth of lives are at stake. It's up to me, up to us, to set things right. To answer your question, I'd rather stay right here in my lab. There's too much work to be done. The Hope's colonists won't revive themselves, you know. Because we've lost our way, the board has a stranglehold over this colony, and we've all been conditioned into total obedience. The Hope is full of specialists, scientists, engineers, talented individuals like you, people who haven't been corrupted by the board. Unfortunately, the Hope's colonists have been frozen for decades, well past your shelf life, so to speak. No offense. Ah, you begin to perceive the truth. Yes, according to the board and their narrow-minded scientists, you should be a pile of organic sludge right now. 10 years. That's how long the average human can remain in hibernation. You were frozen for decades. In theory, you never should have survived the revival process. But the conventional theories are wrong. You're living proof that it can be done. There's yet hope for the Hope. Get it? We'll do our very best to save them all. I'd best get back to work. I can feel my last dose of caffeinoid fading.
The Groundbreaker has approved our request for docking, Captain. You're free to disembark.
Can we talk? Hey, Captain. I heard that Groundbreaker's got a real good engineer. A lady named Junlei Tennyson? I was thinking that maybe I ought to meet her. If you got time to swing us by, I mean. I don't got much experience fixing actual spaceships. I bet you a can of Borston beans she could teach me all manner of stuff. Thanks, Captain. I'll be sure to make it worth your time. Did you want to talk about something else?
I find myself marveling at the complex simplicity of the Fibonacci spiral. I'm sure you know what that's like. Something very...
Just checking your ship's manifest. Standard procedure. Welcome to Groundbreaker, by the by. Don't mind the heat. Got a few days before it reaches critical. I'm sure Miss Chief Tennyson will get it sorted before then.
Smells like grease and unwashed bodies. Just as I remembered.
That's not the point. This halfwit just knocked out one of my workers.
Yeah, with a tossball stick, I heard you the first time. There weren't any witnesses.
No witnesses. He's not even denying it.
Jackass had it coming.
Shut it, Felix. You're not making this any better.
You get cute with me again, you little Back Bay brat, I will toss you out an airlock.
This is the Groundbreaker, not Byzantium. You ain't the law here. I am. Now move along.
I don't have time for this. I need a drink.
Going for a stroll around the docking base?
Just arrived? Head over to customs. Wheeler need...
Going for a stroll around the... Sure was. Got a knack for upsetting the board and the Mardettes all at once. Between you and me, I was hoping they'd come to fisticuffs. I had this foreman, right? Guy never liked me, always trying to get a rise out of me. But I keep my chin up, right? Be the bigger man, I tell myself. He's a Spacer's chosen man, though. So when the Chosen beat my Rangers the other night, my foreman comes swaggering up with his head full of boasting. Exactly. I was only doing what any self-respecting Rangers fan would have done. Look, this was a long time coming. Guy thinks he can push me around because he's some sky-high foreman, and I'm just a Back Bay's dock worker. Well, former dock worker. Guess I just tendered my resignation. Enjoy my freedom. Scrounged together enough bits for a 0G. Other than that, can't say as I do. Hey, not for nothing, but I saw you wander out of that ship over there by the dock. Wouldn't happen to be yours, would it? So your ship's got a dark and violent history? This is just too perfect. Hey, I don't want to talk your ears off, guessing you got places to be. I appreciate your time. Felix Millstone. Pleased to make your acquaintance. See you around, Bob. Going for a stroll around the docking base?
Mechanicals all over. They still got us sweating to move boxes.
Do you mind? I'm trying to file a report.
Yeah, I've done work for... We move cargo 16 hours a day, and half of us still can't afford a bed.
Yeah, we move cargo 16 hours a day, and half of us still can't afford a bed.
I wonder what that fella did to get the board so wild at him.
That's quite the impressive list of infractions.
Customs and inspection, right this way!
Identification, please. Captain Hawthorne, you said. Let me apologize in advance. I'm about to ruin your day. According to your ship's record, you've been flagged by the board. Your ship will be impounded until such a time as they see fit to lift it.
But we've hardly been out of Edgewater long enough to get in trouble.
Well, isn't this wonderful? The captain's done something to get on the board's bad side.
Now, hold on. This isn't the end of the world. Probably. You'll want to take it up with Udom Bedford, our board representative here on Groundbreaker. His office is located along the starboard wall of the promenade. Shines like a Byzantium commode. You can't miss it. Access to that information is above my pay grade, and I've turned down 3 promotions, so it stays that way. I shouldn't be mentioning it, but what the hell? This here, impounding your ship, it doesn't happen much. The board knows we don't take kindly to their interfering in our operations. If I had to take a guess as to why, you must have riled up someone important. You take the starch out of them, well, you won't hear any complaints from me. Oh, and if you're headed that way, would you mind doing me a favor? Wanda Dorset over in sickbay, tell her the shipment's not in yet. It's not coming in anytime soon, and if she'd be so obliged to get off my ass about it. A handful of SAM cleaning units retrofitted for surgery. I don't know much else. I stopped listening when she started yelling. Much appreciated. Is there anything else I can help you with? The fence. You'll find her in the rest and go, on your left when you enter the promenade. Make sure you bring an empty belly. Most places are on the promenade deck. Big door yonder, straight through security. There's a bar on the starboard side. I got a preference for the Lost Hope myself. Talk to Vera. She'll set you right. You need anything else? You let me know. Don't want anyone... Maybe. Most of the shipping traffic in the system passes through Groundbreaker. Every couple of months, we even get a big interstellar freighter. 2 biggest operations are the board. That is, Halcyon Holdings and Sublight Salvage. But there are independent operators around the promenade deck. Most of those jobs are going to take you off station, though. Are you pulling my leg? You must be one of them long-haul freighters from outside the colony. Well, I won't hold it against you. It goes like this. Back on Earth, before the crossing, the powers that be were selling off stakes in distant star systems they thought had potential. A bunch of companies decided to throw in together and form the Halcyon Holdings Corporation, then buy up the rights to this here colony. That group's what we now call the Board. Yep, Groundbreaker's the only real independent port. Aside from us, there's just tramp freighters and wildcat miners. Seems like every year the board's offices get bigger and their ships take up more of the landing bays. Haven't seen nearly as many tramp crews this year. Groundbreaker was one of the original colony vessels to come over on the crossing, a few years before her sister ship, the Hope. Once everybody'd been de-thawed and dropped dirt side, the original crew of the Groundbreaker decided they rather liked the spacefaring life. I guess that was the start of our independent spirit. Now, here we are. Sitting around drinking whiskey and smoking cigars, yeah, probably. Can't say for sure, of course. Doubt I'll ever see the inside of it myself. Glad to help. Relative to the board holdings? Not really. But there's a few with the means to go where they will. They aren't rich, but they aren't likely to look too close at your work history either. They strip the parts from derelict ships and abandoned outposts. There's some that say they make the derelicts and encourage folks to abandon their steads. Sublight gives me the creeps. I've known folks who went to work for them and just vanished. They're on the promenade run by a woman named Lilia Hagen. I'm only telling you so you know to avoid them. Commandant Sanita might have a couple of folks she needs killed. Bad folks, I mean. Not regular folks. She'll be at the security... Chief Junlei might have an errand needs running. She's all tied up trying to fix our heat problem. You'll find her in engineering.
No kidding? I'd love to get a look at this old girl's innards. I bet they're real twisty and weird. In a good way.
If you're thinking to make a career here, don't waste your time. Full-time jobs on Groundbreaker tend to be inherited, or go to a fellow crew member's kid. Keep it in the family, you know. All right. He's friendly enough unless you speak ill of the board. Get the sense he doesn't care for Groundbreaker much. Not that he would, being a board man and all. He's our liaison. They can't abide an independent township, especially not one they gotta depend on. We're the first and last stop out of this colony. All their interstellar freighters come through us, and we skim a few bits off the top in manifest processing fees with every one. Folks around here will bluster that the board hates our freedom, but really, they know we can stop their out-system shipments anytime we like, and that terrifies them. You mean the heat? Sure, we could make them fix it. But what would they do in retaliation? They got assault cruisers, gunships, and a handful of mining operations at their fingertips. We push them too hard, maybe they decide we'd be better in 10 trillion little pieces. Or they cobble together a new Groundbreaker and put us out of business.
The board wouldn't do that. Would they?
The board is necessary to provide order to the colony. They believe it's their prerogative to overrun you. But whether you allow...
It's a tough line to walk, no doubt about that. But we make do all right. Sure thing. Be seeing you.
Just arrived? Head over to customs. Wheeler needs to process you.
This is it. Security.
I picked up this
I
weird
can check the
signal other
departures
day.
registry to find out which crew the Scholar shipped in and out with.
On Monarch. It's a wasteland. You were hearing... things.
No, seriously. There was a lot of static at first, but then this voice said his name.
Unless you're here to file an incident report or to inquire about the bounty posting, I must kindly ask you to clear out. The Mardettes... Last tip we got pointed toward the back bays. You want the... You and about 6 other enterprising mavericks. It's only a matter of time before someone brings me McRed's head. Or his lucky lighter. I do hope you're the lucky hunter, though. Still waiting to hear back on that bounty for McRed. That aside. The outlaw scientist fella, right. The board's headed out for him. If you have an inkling of the wheres or what-fors of his location... To the board, yeah. You've read his wanted poster. Whole list of things to get there. But he's never done nothing to Groundbreaker, so I've no problem with him. We keep the poster up to keep the peace is all. Do I look like your gossipy best friend? While I'm on post, I take my duties real serious. I would have no qualms whatsoever escort. I'm not here for a chat. Now get moving. We're the security force here on Groundbreaker. Started back before the crossing, you know. The original force was made up of a Marine detachment from the 77th Marine Expeditionary Unit. Folks started calling us Mardettes because it was easier to say.
Hi there. Haven't seen you around before. What can Groundbreaker Security... This is the security desk, man. If you're here to report a crime, you'll want to talk to Commandant Sunita. I'm not so good at filing. Mix up first name and surname 1, 2, 7 times. Well, folks are liable to start taking your filing privilege. Sure, and stuff from outside the system too, off the interstellar freighters. That's why we also have... We can't just let anyone walk in here. I wouldn't be, well, it's not... Maybe if you clear an open bounty and get in good with Commandant Sunita, or help Chief Tennyson fix this heat. I told you, I'm not allowed to Oh, right. Okay. Mind you don't touch nothing. Fees. What can Groundbreaker... Chief Tennyson don't generally hire outsiders for station jobs, but you could try asking at Sublight Salvage. They got an office on the far end of the promenade deck. Anything else? Chief Junlei Tennyson. She runs the ship. Does a real great job. Her family's worked on it for, gosh, since it was built.
What's she like? Is she a good boss?
Good as she can be, I guess. What with all the troubles, she could stand to lighten up, I suppose. But she tries her best to do right by folks. Sure is, but she makes it look easy. She's real competent, our chief. They're run by Miss Hagen. Half the tramp captains and contractors in the system have worked for her. I ought to warn you straight off. Scuttlebutt says some of the jobs they do aren't exactly above board. Let's say there's been times when I heard somebody needed a thing, and somebody else had such a thing. Now let's say the one who had the thing suddenly found theirs missing. If anyone asks, Sublight says it got salvaged from an old wreck. Case closed. If anybody could prove them criminals, the board would have put their foot down a long time past. They always got, something gets nicked or someone turns up dead, Sublight says, hey, independent contractor, not our responsibility. Against is a strong word. Let's say that if you need something the board ain't inclined to sell, you might pay Sublight a shitload of bits for it, but that money gets passed on to their contractors, so in the end...
You must admit, there is a beauty to the order of it. Everything operates within the constraints of...
People do what they gotta to get... Gets a mite boring at this desk, you know. Then I get to chatting too much and... Oops!
Oh, don't worry. Captain's...
Can't speak for the captain, but I'm used to listening to folks drone on about their pointless...
Awful generous of you. Listen... That's what I'm... Less than there used to be. Fewer freighters passing through these days. I spend some shifts... Search me? I mean, don't search me, because that's my job. I reckon you'd... What can ground...
How goes the... Nothing excessive, Have I...
Hey.
Try not to be distracted by the glare of the adverts. Lots of unsavory types about.
I hear scary things.
Assholes and their big interstellar freighters. One nearly rammed me on the way in.
This is Halcyon News.
Learn to keep your eyes to
We
yourself,
interrupt your
Charles.
regularly scheduled
Nobody wants you
advertisement
looking
for the
at
following
things
story.
cargo.
The board would like to remind spacers and other travelers that passage to Monarch is restricted for your protection. Canyons of acid and sulfur rain are the least of the horrors plaguing the surface of Monarch. Anarchists live as one with the animals, lawless, savage, and unemployed. The board's embargo ensures that nothing can... hardworking citizens. This is Halcyon News, reminding you that there's no I in news, no we in Halcyon, and no Mercury in Saltuna.
Keep him quiet, Cap. Somebody was trying to fix this up, but looks like they ain't been here in a long while. Poor old sweetie.
Here they come.
Take them down!
Got him!
Good job, Cap!
We're not getting through.
That's the last of them!
Move along.
Rizzo's Purple-Berry Fudge. A soft, sour candy shell around a sweet purple-berry flavored scent. Rizzo's Purple-Berry Crunch. Triple flakes and purple-berry flavored power nuggets. Now with 12% more crunch.
This is Halcyon News. We interrupt your regularly scheduled advertisement for the following story. Tossball finals are scheduled to air soon, but a scandal has rocked the league and thrown this pivotal game into question. Both teams have tested negative for performance-enhancing stims. A tossball first. Coaches and referees are debating how and if this behavior could...
I had a question about your plan, Mr. Vicker.
Of course. The cosmos is generated and directed by the universal equation, also known as the Grand Plan. By contemplating the teleological order of things, one can achieve verity. Oh, right. You had a question?
Never mind. That about answers it.
Welcome to the Lost Hope. Our little colonials are always itching for a fight.
I'll be just
Kind of a dark brown and black.
Seeking relief from the heat? Till June Lay gets those radiators fixed, I've got the next best thing. I hear tell some folk down in the townships are getting offered early retirement. Who'd think of such a thing? What would you do with all the time? The radiators, they're fucked 10 ways to Sunday. And we're all sweating buckets wondering when the powers that be are gonna get around to fixing it.
It might be your thermal control system's busted. That can happen if it's not tended to from time to time.
I don't really care what the issue is, kid. I just want it fixed. Sweat's starting to make me chafe in places I shouldn't be chafing. They're supposed to gather up all the heat the systems generate and vent it into space. Instead of the heat going where it ought, though, it seems to be blowing straight down the promenade. Weeks? I lost track. Too law-damn... Engineering. Chief Junlei Tennyson, to be precise. She runs this heap. Best she can, anyway. Don't know what's got her dragging her heels. That's not for me to say. But if you're feeling the... There's nobody who knows more about the station's guts. Any system you could name, June's crawled around inside and made it better. She doesn't come around here often, though. Don't see her as much of a drinker. Stellar Bay proper? Tough to say. The board recalled all the nav keys about 10 years back when the core... It's overrun with beasts, I heard. Big ones. Kinda chew your face off for fun. If you're aiming to get to Stellar Bay, you're gonna have to get your hands dirty. But I ain't the one you ought to be asking. Try Gladys on the promenade. Nothing you need.